Alright, a few months ago I checked out a bunch of these brandless cameras that you can find all over Amazon that are dirt cheap, but they claim to have all these specs like 8K video recording, 48 megapixel photos, 16x zoom without losing any sort of resolution. They claim all these specs and all this marketing stuff that is so misleading. And they're really just trying to target people that don't know any better, that see something like 4K or 8K video, and assume that 4K video is just good quality in general, even though the video and the photos out of all of these cameras are 20 times worse than anything you'd get out of a smartphone even. And so I'm gonna link that down in the description. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it yet. But on that video, I got quite a few comments saying that essentially the sensors they use in these cameras are like 10-year-old webcam sensors that have absolutely no relation to any of the specs that they claim on all these listings for these cameras. So today, I'm gonna take a couple of these and I'm gonna go ahead and just tear them apart. I'm gonna look inside of them and see what's actually inside of this, what's powering this camera, and try to figure out what the actual sensor that they're using these cameras are versus what they're advertising on these cameras. So without further ado, I'm gonna take apart a couple of these. The two subjects of today's video are gonna be this 48 megapixel photography camera right here. It also, shoots 4K video. It's a YouTube camera, supposedly. And even funnier, this claims to be 48 megapixels. The photos that I got out of this camera on my computer showed that they were 63 megapixels. And so I'm pretty excited to find out if I can look at the model number of this sensor and figure out the true resolution of this. And then this camcorder, this is just a 1080p camcorder. I just want to tear this one apart, see what I can find in this one as well, and just, see what these look like inside. Of course, I got my trusty iFixit toolkit, not sponsored in any way, but I love this thing. Either way, let's just get these things torn apart and see what we can find. I'm just gonna start pulling screws out and try to get this thing pulled apart and see what we can find in here, see what these actually look like inside. Alright, so I got this pulled apart even more, and this is an even tinier little camera module than I thought it was. But I also found the model number on this and finally figured out what the actual, sensor module is on this. And so it looks like it's a Sony IMX179 camera sensor. So it looks like it has a resolution of 8 megapixels, and it can go all the way up to 3264 by 2448. And it looks like it can record that up to 15 frames per second. So it can technically do like 3.2K video at 15 frames per second, or 1080p at 30 frames per second, which is what this camera is limited to. Let's see what else. It looks like on AliExpress, it's about $18 for this module. So an $18 camera module on like a $60 camcorder, with everything else included, that honestly doesn't seem too bad at all. Obviously this isn't great or even really good quality when it comes to the actual output of the video and the photos, but it is still pretty fun to use. And for like a $60 camera, you're not really getting a terrible value when you think of all the other parts that go into this and getting a somewhat usable image out of it, having the screen on there, batteries and things like that. But now let's go ahead and move on to the other one, the one I'm really excited to find out what the actual resolution of the sensor is. The listing says it's 48 megapixels, my computer says it's 63 megapixels, my eyes tell me it's like 1 megapixel. Let's figure out what it actually is. Now, if we pull this off, you can see it's another one of those just tiny little sensors and lenses. Again, that's like a cell phone or webcam sized camera sensor in there. Alright, I think I figured out what sensor is in this camera. So this right here is an IMX258 camera module with a maximum resolution of 12 megapixels. And so it looks like the comments are right, at least for this camera. Again, there's like thousands of these brands and different types of cameras that are similar to this. I don't want to claim that all of them are just faking their specs, but this one clearly is. They're pretty much just putting down whatever specs they feel like. And so please, if you're looking at any of these brandless cameras on Amazon, please remember that any specs they give you, any of the example images and things like that, are completely misleading. Now, I'm not saying these cameras are absolutely worthless and you shouldn't buy them. I could see a lot of people actually enjoying these, and they kind of give a cool early 2000s digital look to the photos and videos. But in conclusion, these cameras are just filled with so much misleading information and specs that you should definitely beware and not really trust anything they say except, you know, actual photo and video examples from them. All right, that's pretty much it for this video, but I do have a bunch more of these Amazon cameras I'm gonna be testing out. So definitely subscribe for that. Also check out my new merch. I'll link that down in the description. And I'll see you in the next video.